Welcome to The Verdict. Kent Myers flying solo today. Mick Cornett will be back in a couple of weeks. We are going today to talk about something that is of interest to everybody in Oklahoma for the future of Oklahoma. It's something called, and we've named the show, What is I2E? We've got a frequent guest of the Verdict joining us again today, former State Treasurer Scott Meacham, but perhaps more importantly my partner at Crowe and Dunleavy. He has just been named recently the president and CEO of i2E in Oklahoma, and that's what we're going to talk about today. It's Innovation to Enterprise is what i2E stands for, and it's a program that allows new ventures to prosper and thrive if they are meritorious. Scott is a fellow with great financial background, great business background, and great people skills, and he's going to visit us today and talk about his new job and what Oklahomans can expect from it. So settle back, enjoy the show today. We're sure pleased you've joined us, and I think you're going to like it. So we're going to take a break now. I'll see you in just a few minutes with Scott Meacham. You're watching The Verdict.
When someone looks at me, they looked at the disability before they look at the person.
Nothing builds esteem like having a job and being able to provide for yourself.
At Goodwill, we turn donations and resources into jobs.
There's so much that a person can do with a disability that's beyond our wildest dreams.
The parallel between repurposing things and repurposing people lies in seeing the value.
If you give me a chance, I won't let you down.
The resources that we are now seeing from Chesapeake, which did start with a financial contribution, has grown into other resources. They are willing to have their staff provide time, energy, expertise. Chesapeake opens doors for Goodwill. It is the right example to give to people who are refashioning their lives, and their future is brighter.
If you need big accounting firm expertise but aren't happy with the value or level of partner engagement from your current national firm, contact Hogan Taylor. Hogan Taylor provides national-level public accounting expertise with high-touch, local partner service in all areas of tax, audit, business valuation, and litigation support. Contact us at hogantaylor.com/The Verdict. Hogan Taylor, big enough to know, small enough to care.
Welcome back to The Verdict. Kent Myers with you today, and with a good friend of mine, a partner of mine, Scott Meacham, the former state treasurer of the state of Oklahoma. Scott is president and CEO of i2E Oklahoma. He did his undergraduate, got his master's in business administration, and his law degree at the University of Oklahoma. For a number of years, he was in the banking business as a CEO of a bank in Oklahoma. He served as our state treasurer for 8 years, and that accounts for his 6 or 7 other appearances on The Verdict. He's a frequent guest with us many times when he was state treasurer. He's now in private law practice, or was in private law practice with me at Crowe and Dunleavy Law Firm, and has just been recently named president and CEO of i2E, which will take the preponderance of his time. I don't know that I'll see as much of him in the future as I have in the past. Scott is active in a lot of things in the community. He and his family live in Edmond, and he's in a lot of civic activities and charitable activities, and he's always gracious with his time. So, Scott, welcome back. Glad to have you.
It's good to be here again.
I'm glad to get to see you.
Yeah, I know.
I don't get to see you at the office, so
That's
I got to
true.
come to the studio to see you. Well, tell us, let me ask you to not put your i2E hat on just yet, but re-don your state treasurer hat, or however you want to do it, but look back now at the state's financial picture and tell us what you see compared to how it was when you left as state treasurer.
Well, you know, Oklahoma's economy is doing very well. If you remember, I went out kind of at the tail end of the 2008-2009 recession. I left office in early 2010. So it was the end of that cycle. We just started up. You know, Oklahoma didn't go down like the other states did, and we rebounded probably faster than other states did. But Oklahoma's economy, really, it's a good story. It's a great story nationally.
Well, are we out of the hole? I mean, are we still in jeopardy, perhaps?
Well, I don't think, you know, from things that happen here in Oklahoma, I don't think we have a whole lot of risk. Now, you know, you always have what are they going to do to you in Washington kind of hanging over your head these days. Yeah. But, you know, as long as energy prices stay kind of where they are and don't drift a whole lot lower, we're going to do well in Oklahoma. And the reason is Oklahoma's energy-based economy. And fortunately, we have a lot of gas, and gas prices aren't so good right now, but we also have a lot of oil. And all the shale play oil has really helped Oklahoma because oil prices are good. And so our economy is doing really well as a result of that.
Let me ask you about the i2E enterprise. Tell us just generally, what is the purpose of the organization i2E?
Well, you know, a number of years ago, I think i2E has been around for about 14 years, and it's one of the better kept secrets in the state. But a number of years ago, some people were at the state level were starting to think, you know, we turn out a lot of good ideas in Oklahoma. Oklahomans are very innovative. I mean, we invented the shopping cart in Oklahoma. We invented the electric guitar in Oklahoma. I don't know what the Beatles would have done without Oklahoma. We have a lot of great ideas that come out of our research labs.
And the
at
parking
OU,
meter.
OSU. Yeah, the parking meter. I'm sure I'm sold on that one, but
no, we can give that one back.
yeah,
Go ahead.
exactly. But you know, our labs at OU and OSU and at Oklahoma Medical Research Foundation, we get all these great ideas coming out of them. Unfortunately, what happens too often is they become job opportunities in other states, or they would just die on the vine for lack of capital. So the idea was you needed to create an entity, a mechanism to take these good ideas and turn them into Oklahoma-based companies and Oklahoma jobs versus letting them go somewhere else. And that's where i2E came in. You know, banks, they don't play in this space because it's too risky. Even venture capitals, who by definition take a lot more risk than anyone else,
Are venturous.
Yeah, they won't even play in that space because it's too risky. So it's up to basically someone, a not-for-profit like i2E, to kind of step in and help in that area.
So i2E is a not-for-profit.
Yes.
And its principal mission then is to take an idea and do what with it?
Well, I would say our principal mission is to grow successful small businesses in Oklahoma.
Okay.
If you look at the statistics, the survival rate for any startup small business to even make it to 4 years is not very good. Well under half make it to that 4-year mark. But all of the research shows and all the studies show that if you can provide advisory services, mentoring to those people as they're starting off, tell them kind of the hows and the whats and the wheres and all that, plus give them some small injections of capital and help get them other capital, that it more than doubles their chances of success. That's really where we come in.
Well, do you limit your ideas or your ventures that you try to help to high tech?
Well, we probably limit it more to high growth. So there's certain things we can't do. We are only there for small businesses, and we use the SBA's definition, so less than 250 employers.
Employees?
Yeah, employees, excuse me. We don't do retail. We don't do commercial real estate, and we don't do oil and gas exploration and production.
Yeah.
Okay? But everything else we do, and kind of what we like is to see some kind of good job growth from an idea. And so we look for ideas that are going to create good job growth. Those tend to be a little bit more in the high-tech space, but we're not limited to that space.
When you say we, who is we? Who is i2E?
Well, i2E is we have a staff of about 23. Our main office is in Oklahoma City. We also have an office in Tulsa. And we're divided into, we have what we call venture advisors that help people and help them put their business plans together, their marketing plans, their financing plans, all those types of things. We have investment professionals that help administer our investment funds and determine whether and how much and when we can provide money in. And we have other people that help with their marketing. And we have people that help with what we call angel groups. We have a group called the Seed Step Angels that we put together, and that's really a group of just Oklahomans that are interested in making these kind of high risk, high return, early stage investments. That is a group that we bring to the table for these new companies.
So these aren't necessarily, they may turn out to be charitable contributions, but they don't start out as charitable contributions. There's a hope of a return on the investment.
Right, and obviously all of these private investors, they're doing it wanting to make a good return on their investment. But the deal is that is a very, as we talked about earlier, a risky space. So let's say, you know, you have a portfolio, and if you think of your portfolio as a pyramid, what I like to tell people is this venture capital early startup space is really the tip of the pyramid. You're most risky, and maybe only 5 or 10% of your portfolio. But if you put it in these types of companies and you spread it across a number of those companies, a lot of them aren't going to make it, but when they do make it, they give you a really good return.
Does i2E have corporate sponsors such as the Chambers of Commerce or anything like that?
We do get, we have a very close relationship with the Oklahoma City Chamber of Commerce, and we do contracts to provide services for Chambers of Commerce's. And we're working on a deal right now with the Oklahoma City Industrial Authority. So we're looking at different deals that we can do with groups. We get grant funds. We have EDA, federal EDA funds, Economic Development Administration funds. We got a large $13 million grant just recently from the Treasury Department that we're using to create some new investment funds. So we can now take a company all the way from concept all the way to what we call the growth stage, where right before they become bankable, where a bank will then loan them money.
Are there loans to these companies? Are they grants? What are they?
We don't really do grants. Okay, what we do is we sort of give them services. So we'll help them with their plans and things like that, and that's sort of the grant aspect.
Yeah.
But the funds that we manage,
kind of in-kind contribution.
Right. The funds that we manage, those are more investments, and typically they'll take the form of preferred stock investments, so the equity investments. But we also will do convertible notes and things like that. So we're pretty flexible in how we fund the financing. But the idea is that we want to kind of maintain the funds we have and continue those funds, so then we can turn around and then loan it out or invest
in
other
again.
companies. Exactly.
We're out of time on this segment. Let's take a quick break and then we'll come back. You're watching The Verdict, and we're visiting with Scott Meacham about his new job as CEO and president of i2E in Oklahoma. We'll be right back.
My great-great-grandfather, Cyrus Harris, came to Oklahoma Territory, the Trail of Tears, and he served as the first governor of the Chickasaw Nation. I'm Harris Penner, and I own and operate Penner Ranch in Oak Creek, Oklahoma, and I'm Chickasaw. As far as the ranch of Cyrus Harris, my daughters will be the 5th generation on that land. They're the backbone, like the Chickasaw women have always been. They're the backbone of the place. It's been in the family all of my life, all of my grandfathers. My grandfather and my dad were both born on houses on that place. Today, the ranch is a cow-calf operation. Land, it means everything to us. We would never get rid of it. That's our roots, our heritage. It's right there. As far as Chickasaw heritage, I'm proud to be a Chickasaw. Proud to be an Oklahoman.
They lift, grip, and bear pressure. They carry our state through every season. Hands that simply by doing their job, forge opportunity for nearly 350,000. These are the hands of Oklahoma's oil and natural gas industry, working sun up to sundown for our economy, our future, for every person who lives where these flags wave.
When you have something important to communicate, it becomes clear that there's a lot of competition for your audience's attention. So how can your message stand out and actually resonate with your audience? Legal Graphics has the answers. The team at Legal Graphics will work with you to plan, design, and even test your presentation to ensure your message will be heard and remembered. Call Legal Graphics today to schedule an appointment. The readiness is all.
back with Scott Meacham, the president and CEO of i2E, former state treasurer for 8 years in the state of Oklahoma. He has been talking to us about i2E and its operations. Approximately, Scott, in the 14 years or so that i2E's been functioning, how many businesses have you dealt with, fostered, encouraged?
Yeah, I think I was looking at a statistic a little bit ago, and I think it's been over 550 companies that we have dealt with during that number of years. So we've made a big impact on a lot of different companies.
Obviously, in the risky stage that they are in at the time you acquire them, acquiring an involvement with them, do you have a lot of failures? Do you have more successes than failures? How do you quantify that?
You know, I think, our goal is to create more successes. And so what we do is we actually will take somebody from the very earliest concept stage, and we even have a concept fund to help them develop a marketable concept, and then take them to a seed stage where they start to put their business together, and then to, the next stage where they start to grow the business. And so it's a continuum. And so typically what we do is we try to, once a company goes through that process, it has a pretty good chance of success, a very good chance of success. Now, there are companies that start and they find out, you know what, we had an idea that we thought was good, it just doesn't work and it's not viable. And that's an important thing too, because before they waste a lot of time and money on something that's not going to work, they need to identify that. So, I would say that, maybe 50% make it through the process to the end, but those that make it to the end typically do really well.
And are they located throughout the state, or are they simply in Oklahoma City? Where are these businesses housed?
We have literally helped companies across the state. We've done software companies in Tulsa. We've done pharmaceuticals and medical equipment and technology companies in Oklahoma City. We've done sensor technology companies in Stillwater. We've done down in Ardmore, we had a company that did some night vision stuff for the military. So, literally, we've done companies all across the state.
Well, with these wide varied products or services that these businesses offer, how do you get a staff at i2E that is competent to help them?
Well, what we try to do is hire people with sort of differing expertises. So, I may have somebody that's worked in a lab before and understands that business. I may have somebody that's been in the electrical engineering field, so understands that business, and so on and so forth. But really, we want to have that sort of competency in those industries, so we understand the reality of how those industries work. But if you're talking about a business plan and business planning, really the steps are the same for everybody. So. And the way we work is we'd have a team approach. We have one person that's assigned to a company as kind of their primary lead person or their single point of contact. But we bring our team together to kind of pour all of our collective knowledge and experience and advice into these companies because, we really want them to be successful. Now,
your folks are employees of i2E.
That's right.
They're not volunteers.
No.
Do you have any volunteer use at all in your organization?
We certainly would like to develop more of that because what we do is with a lot of companies, especially once they get going, they may need somebody to step in and be a CEO for a while or be a chief financial officer for a while or be a director of sales. And, I would love to develop something where people that have retired in Oklahoma that don't want to just, sit and play golf all the time or garden all the time, might like to plug back in. I would love to develop that. We just haven't gotten there yet, but I think that's kind of the next step where we need to move to.
Well, we have some leading companies in Oklahoma that while they might not have been affiliated with i2E, certainly could be poster children for what can happen. Case in point, Devon.
Right.
A two-person business maybe 30 years ago, now just huge. Chesapeake, a two-person business 30 years ago, now huge, and I'm sure there are many more examples. But do you see on the horizon i2E developing newer versions of the Chesapeakes and Devons of Oklahoma?
That's absolutely what we're trying to do. If you think about your economy, either at a local level or statewide, you have tiers. So you have the more mature companies, you have the growing companies, And the problem is you need to have kind of all of those tiers populated with companies, and you actually want more down at the lower tier because there'll be less and less and less as it goes up. So the idea is, if we aren't planting new companies in Oklahoma, those little saplings, if we aren't planting a lot of those little saplings, then we go 15, 20 years down the road, we won't have all the Devons and Chesapeakes and things like that.
And those are mature companies.
Exactly. And let me use a perfect example is Kerr-McGee, an Oklahoma City-based company. So what typically happens is a company will start here, it'll grow, it'll have a lot of success, and it'll go through maybe the first generation, maybe the second generation, but sometime it gets diluted enough where some other bigger company then comes and gobbles them up and moves them off to, I think, Houston in the case of Kerr-McGee. So we've got to be continually planting those new seedlings so we can have the next, Kerr-McGee, Devon, whatever you want to call it, company that's in the queue and ready to go.
You could sure take the Devon building or the Chesapeake campus as pretty good examples of what this kind of a company can do. Now, you are switching gears just a minute, you are the president and CEO. To whom do you report, if anybody?
Yeah, I have a board of directors.
And how are they selected?
They have, we are again, a not-for-profit corporation, and the board was created, and the board has its own committees. So there's an executive committee and a nominating committee, and the nominating committee then will nominate new board members that have to be approved by the executive committee and then approved by the board. And they serve a specific term, and we have term limits on how long they can serve. And it's it's really a good board of people from across the state.
I was going to ask, where do you look to find board members to be involved in i2E?
Well, we have, my current chairman is Howard Barnett, president of OSU Tulsa.
Been a guest on this show.
Before Howard, it was Roy Williams, who's
been a guest on this show.
Exactly, president of Oklahoma City Chamber. I think my next one is going to be Dr. Stephen Prescott, who's head of Oklahoma Medical Research
Been a
Foundation.
guest on this show.
Exactly. So it's those kinds of people. Plus we have some from, I think we have members from Ponca City, Ardmore, just various areas across the state.
Well, is the banking community involved in helping you particularly?
You know what, and that's part of the problem. I think i2E traditionally has been more aligned with OU Health Sciences Center and OMRF and some of those kind of places. And that's been one of our challenges because we really have more resources than we have takers right now. And so what I'm really trying to do is get us closer aligned with the banking community and the economic development community. I told my staff when I first went in there that bankers are usually the first ones that see any one of these deals.
Yeah.
And unless your house is free and clear, they're probably not going to help you on something like this. But bankers don't like to tell people no.
Yeah.
And I told them we want to be the but. I can't help you, but i2E can.
I know someone who might.
Yes, exactly.
Well, Scott, we are out of time on this show, but thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck in your new endeavor. It's certainly good for all of us that you succeed, and I don't know anybody that has a better chance of succeeding than you. You've done it at all stages of your life, and I don't see it slowing down anytime soon. I hope you'll come back and join us and give us a report later about how things are going. We've been visiting today with Scott Meacham, the president and CEO of i2E in Oklahoma. I'll be right back with the final word here in just a minute. You're watching The Verdict.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
You have children coming from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids gotta know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
And for almost 30 years, Oklahoma political, government, and business leaders have turned to the McCarville Report for accurate, reliable, inside information. Visit the McCarville Report online.
Welcome back to The Verdict. We're closing up this show on our discussion of i2E, the organization in Oklahoma that's trying to take innovation and bring it to enterprise. We were so pleased that Scott Meacham would join us today and talk about his new job, his new work there. He'll be very successful there, and I know that is something that will benefit all Oklahomans and encourage you to become involved with it or at least learn about it. And in that connection, let me give you a website that you may want to consult that will allow you to learn more about it. www.i2e.org. Please note it's a small I, a letter 2, and a capital E.org. Get on there and you can find out a lot more about what Scott's doing. Also, take a look at our website, theverdict.tv. Let us know what show you'd like to see, because we do pay attention to it and we'll do our best to accommodate. For Mick Cornett, thanks for joining us today. See you next week.
The preceding program was produced exclusively for the Cox Channel.